Hi, I'm Anna Fryxelius. I'm from Oslo, Norway. I've also lived in California in my childhood, so I do speak English, American, and I look different on different days. Some days I'm rolling, some days I'm standing and walking, and some days I'm jumping around doing Wu-Tan Kung Fu, which I do also in competition. And many people have problems understanding this, and I often refer them to the spoon theory, whereupon most doctors and researchers just look at me like I'm speaking a foreign language, and I guess in some ways I am, because I'm speaking patient language. And I tried to tell them that, yes, you saw me walking yesterday, but today I'm using my wheelchair because I don't have spoons to walk. And I also realized that I have been holding myself back due to internalized ableism. And please let me know in the chat, like, have you heard about internalized ableism? And have you ever thought about your own potential internalized ableism? This was a game changer for me after being, I didn't call myself disabled, but I had an invisible chronic illness that really affected my life and chronic pain for so many years before I heard the term ableism and realized that I was really reducing my, I didn't want to use the wheelchair because I didn't want to look disabled, because I had some internalized ideas about what it meant to be in a wheelchair. And so I was hiding. When I couldn't walk, I would just hide. And this last year, I've been really doing a process on learning more about internalized ableism and how it affects people with chronic invisible illness and chronic pain. And it's been a game changer. So I want to talk more about that. I also sold that into the ACR research committee that we should have a topic, like a talk on that next year. But my story is based on my patient experience, of course, and now Melissa already introduced some of that. I am a patient who has autoimmune rheumatoid arthritis and autoimmune scleroderma. Both of those autoimmune rheumatic diseases, I've had them since my teenage years, but they are in remission and have been in remission for a long time. And the chronic pain I have resulting from those conditions is very similar to fibromyalgia. So if I got a new doctor's appointment now with only the symptoms I have now, I would 100% have the fibromyalgia diagnosis only, because both the RA and the scleroderma is in remission, which is great. And medical-free remission too. It's a natural remission. But I've also suffered, or I don't like to use the word suffer there really, but I had a complex spinal fracture and went through 3 spinal surgeries. And then I was hit by a car, like walking across the street when I could still walk, and got a bad neck injury. And all of this resulted in chronic pain. That whole story is in this book that that was published many years ago, about my story, sort of overcoming. I don't even like the word overcome, because this is stuff I live with, but just the story as a dramatic story was published. And for some strange reason, it was even published by an academic publishing house that thought that my story was of interest to the medical community. And the book also led to a grant from a free speech organization to start a blog about the healthcare system from the patient perspective. This was back in 2010. I also had a blog called 365 Pain-Free Days, where I published one piece of pain relief or one technique for reducing chronic pain every day for 1 year. So 365 days, 365 pain-free tips. It's still up there somewhere in the blogosphere, but it's outdated, of course. And that work actually led me to getting hired as a full-time patient advocate in a big Norwegian patient NGO on the rheumatic field. I was on disability ever since I broke my back, so I did not think that I would ever have a job, which was really sad at the time. Like I thought it was very, very sad to be sort of sidelined already from the age of 20 and said, you can't work, you have all of these conditions. You just, sit there in your wheelchair and here's your disability and here are your pills. Take your pills and be a nice patient. And I did not accept that. So I did everything I could to find out what would help me have better quality of life and less symptoms. Also, I tried all kinds of dietary systems and all this, everything. Have you tried yoga? Yes, I have. Most of us have. And something worked, and I went into remission. And of course, it's hard to know exactly what worked, but I do think that for me, dietary change has been a big factor. Through the years, I've become a public speaker in Norway, speaking on all topics of health and patient engagement, and won prizes for my talks. And now I am working to change medical research, not just one project at a time, but to change the whole topic of medical research from being centered on the pharmaceuticals to being more centered on prevention, because what we need is to find the underlying mechanisms of diseases like fibromyalgia, myalgic encephalitis, of course rheumatoid arthritis, but there is so much research done there, like they're way ahead, so that these illnesses can be prevented instead of putting us on heavy meds for the rest of our lives. So that's my passion, and that's also my full-time job. And now I need somebody to set a timer for 5 minutes. I can actually set a timer, because when I start talking about my patient history, there is a risk of me spending too much time on that. But it all started a long time ago in the country of Indonesia. I was living in Bandung, Indonesia, actually in a house facing the rice terraces like this. I went there on a gap year after finishing high school in Norway, because I had by then developed both scleroderma and rheumatoid arthritis, and the doctors just wanted me to go on methotrexate, cell poisoning, and prednisone for the rest of my life, and said, this is hopeless, there's nothing we can do. And instead I went there, but I was unlucky and happened to be in a bus crash, where I'd lived there for 10 months actually before the bus crash happened, but that broke my spine. And breaking your spine in a developing country is, it's an adventure that I don't wish on anyone. So please don't try this at home, kids, is what I often say when I talk about my patient experience. I was lucky that the accident happened close to a hospital that actually had relatively clean and good conditions, but it was very dramatic. And I was extremely fortunate to survive and to be transported home to Norway due to I had this really cheap travel insurance that for some reason included support to have me transported home to Norway, where I underwent 3 major spine surgeries in over a few years. And open back surgeries, spinal fusions, that kind of thing. At this point in time, I was 22 years old. And after the spinal fusions, I had chronic pain. And I had chronic pain from the rheumatoid arthritis, and I had chronic pain from the back injury and the spinal fusions. I was partly paralyzed in my left leg, but not completely. And they seemed to be quite happy with me having chronic pain for the rest of my life. And that's when I found out that the healthcare system can be amazing when it comes to acute care, like the surgeries I got and saving lives. There was an amazing system for taking care of people like me in the beginning, but once pain becomes chronic, you're basically left to your own devices. At that time, we were given opioids, but that was all. You got opioids, and then at a certain point, the doctor said, oh, you can't use opioids anymore. Those aren't good for you. But that was the only care that was available at that time. And I had to learn pain relief on my own and, to have a life, because as you all probably know, if you've been on opioids and that's the only thing you get, they don't work for long. They work for a while and then they don't work anymore. And I started reading everything I could about chronic pain, and I was lucky to meet a pain specialist, some kind of coincidence, who could explain to me what actually happens in your nervous system when you have pain in the same part of your body for months and years at a time. None of the doctors back home in Norway had explained this to me, but as I was walking actually the Camino to Santiago de Compostela, which was my main healthy goal, I met a an anesthesiologist, a chronic pain specialist who was burnt out, and he explained this to me. So I came back with a completely new understanding of what was happening in my body, and I started changing the way I lived with my pain. And I also learned project management techniques, which I combined with what I'd learned about chronic pain, and it really changed everything. And what I'm going to do now for the rest of the talk is I'm going to lead you through my best tools. Like, first, the background for the tools. This was my story. I managed to keep it under 5 minutes. Yay! And now I'm going to share what I learned that really changed everything for me when it came to my chronic pain, and has led to me being able to have an active life despite the pain or with the pain. And then I'm going to do an exercise with y'all. Like, we're going to try one of the exercises that I teach people I coach. And at the end, we should have time for Q&A. So the nervous system, right? That's where the pain usually is and gets stuck. Like, even if you cut your hand, or in this case, I put a pin on there. Like, if you hurt yourself with a sharp pin in your finger, it hurts, and signals are sent from your finger, wherever you prick yourself, up to your brain, and the brain interprets that signal. And that's okay when it's acute pain, when it's something that happens once. But when it happens again and again, it changes the nervous system. And our brain is all the time working to interpret what we're experiencing. And if I prick myself with something sharp on my finger, not just once, but every day for a month, like, that nerve is going to become super sensitized. It's being retrained to increase the volume of the pain. The more I have pain in one part of my body, the more those nerve signals travel from wherever I'm hurting up to my brain, the wider that pain gate is going to be to my brain, and the volume will sort of go up on the pain, and it will feel more and more intense, even if the cause is the same. And when it comes to causes of pain, I mean, sometimes the cause is here, like you injure yourself, you hurt yourself on something sharp, but often it's an illness, an underlying illness, like what we think fibromyalgia is, but the researchers haven't landed completely on what they think it is yet. But there's something going on a molecular level, at a cellular level, that is causing persistent pain, maybe some kind of inflammation process. And whatever the reason behind the pain is, if it's repeated again and again, day after day, and these signals are sent to the brain, what happens is that each time the pain signal is sent up to the brain, an alarm goes off, and it's like this fire alarm in your house that just go wah, 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 wah. Yeah, opioid-induced hyperalgesia. Oof, yeah, Cassandra, that is really, really horrible. And it, like, being on opiates for a long time will do the same thing as having pain over and over and over and over again. Your entire nervous system gets sensitized, so the same cause of pain will feel stronger and stronger and stronger. That's because of the sensitization of the nervous system. Basically, your nervous system is learning and adapting and changing to what it's being exposed to. And every time you have pain, this alarm goes off, and then that cable, in a way, like the wire between your body and your brain's pain processing center, is being built out, like from a dial-up modem connection to a high-speed broadband connection. And that's when the pain gremlins enter the picture. That's what I call them. That's what it feels like they're chewing on my nerve fibers. Basically, when I have a bad pain day, I go through periods with strong pain, and then if I'm lucky, I have longer periods with low pain. I can have days, and almost sometimes I can have weeks with zero pain or next to no pain, in the summer especially. And then I can have months where I'm completely horizontal bedbound with very strong pain. And the doctors can't tell the difference, and they're like, "Oh, your lab results are normal." And I'm like, "Yeah, it doesn't feel normal." So, hi, Jack. Nice to see you. Or in the chat. So the pain gremlins, like, when I have strong pain, the pain gremlins will come and chew on my nerve fibers, but also on my thought processes. Like, I'll hear them, like, that it's really hard to keep negative thoughts at bay when you have strong pain over time. It also affects of course, your mood. And I just mentioned how the nervous system gets sensitized through repetition, just like when we were learning to ride a bike as children. In the beginning, it was super hard. And then as you do something again and again and again, it gets easier and easier and easier. Our nervous system is constantly changing and learning and growing. And that's neuroplasticity was a game changer for me when I understood that having all this pain, specifically in my back where I've had the spinal fusions, is thanks, Cassandra. These pain signals were traveling, and it's like the gateway was becoming more and more open, and the volume was being pulled up on the actual pain signal. So now I've talked about the problem. Let's start talking about looking at some visual modules and for how to deal with this. I love you writing in the chat, because then I know I'm among friends, because you are people who understand. And exactly, we get really tired, sometimes out of nowhere. And like now when I work as a patient researcher with top researchers in pain and rheumatological research specifically, and I ask them, like, why does this happen? Like, why does the pain fluctuate so much? Why can I be jumping around with my Kung Fu sword one day, and another day I'm bedbound and I can't even walk to the bathroom? Like, how can that be the same person? And how can my lab results be normal? And they will be like, well, the biopsychosocial paradigm says that maybe, you're just stressed. And I'm like, really? I don't feel any different from one day to another. And some researchers have been saying, Jack, that the fatigue is caused by the pain. Like, if you manage to treat the pain, the fatigue goes away. I don't know if that's true when you have autoimmunity. I think there's going to be fatigue anyway, because that is very draining. So let's talk about how to break the pain spiral. Often, we get pain kind of draws you in when you have it, but I like to use visual models to make it easier to sort of make sense of the kind of senseless experience of having pain. Yes, Darlene, I know how that feels with the pain gremlins. Jack, do you have fibromyalgia? Please write in the chat. Back pain. So pain in itself, we focus on that one symptom, but there are many other symptoms that sort of correlate with the pain and get increased by the pain, and all of these work on each other and increase each other. So it's kind of a circle here, like the pain circle, where if we don't manage to slow it down, it starts spiraling downwards. So just having pain will lead to a biological stress response. We're not talking psychological stress even yet, even though that often happens too. Hey, Becky. What happens, when the body sends signals to your brain that, ouch, I am in pain. There's something dangerous here. Maybe there's a bear or a gremlin chewing my leg or my back. That alarm goes off, that causes a biological stress reaction. Your adrenal glands will free lots of stress hormones. And those stress hormones, they have side effects. They will tense your muscles, basically to make sure that you don't lose blood and that you're alert. Your muscles will tense from having these stress hormones. And having stress hormones will disturb your sleep. It'll make it really difficult to sleep. And of course, when you have tense muscles, you're stressed, you have pain, and you don't sleep well, you're more worried. All of these things lead to fatigue, and the pain also gives your brain will tell you to hide, and basically it's like this animal response. If an animal is hurt, it will run away and hide, right? And I'm just reading the chat in between. Hi, Big Red. Pain gremlins. Yep, that term is on. And Karen, maybe you missed the start here. I also have arthritis, so you have autoimmune. Yep. Illness. Well, pain will tell your reptilian brain, your survival brain, that you have to hide and stay passive. Don't move, basically, is one of the signals that the pain will send. So becoming more passive is completely natural, of course, because of the fatigue, and you have less sleep, and you have tense muscle, you have all of this stress. All of that leads to a downward spiral. And you get deconditioned too by being more passive, right? So for each round through the pain spiral, you end up a little bit further down before. And that's what was happening to me after these spine surgeries and with the rheumatoid arthritis and chronic pain. That even like I got some opioids, but most of it was untreated. Every time like I was in one of these pain loops, I would lose conditioning and I would manage to do less than before. Even though I was only 21 when this started, I was very, very soon so disabled that I could hardly function at all. And this downward spiral can be really hard to explain to the doctors. Like, good doctors will understand this, but sorry, good doctors are few and far between when it comes to chronic pain. And the good news is, or what I learned through what I learned about chronic pain and neuroscience specifically, is that it's possible to break the cycle at any one of those stages. So if you visualize that you have, I look at it sort of like a break, a triangle break that I just sort of managed to put in between, for example, the pain and the stress response. I find it easiest to interrupt the pain cycle right there. But anywhere in the cycle where you have things you can do that help will stop the pain from spiraling out of control. So finding whatever ways you can to put a wedge in between one symptom and the next one will help reduce the pain overall. Like, it will reduce your complete pain level. Cassandra, the fascia is so interesting. This is so interesting. Yeah. Oh, I love the chat. How do we cope with the pain? Yep. That's what we're talking about, Becky. That's what we're talking about. How we cope with our chronic pain. So breaking the spiral by finding ways, like, what can you do that helps when you're worried? What can you do that helps to get better quality of sleep? What can you do that helps tense muscles? What can you do to reduce biological stress, the stress response in your body? And of course, what can you do to reduce pain? But often we get so snowed in on the pain alone that we forget all these other factors that are increasing the pain. It might be easier to work on some of these other factors, and that will reduce the pain. And then, of course, when you go to the doctor, they'll ask you, on a scale from 0 to 10, how bad is your pain? And I used to hate this question. Anybody else here hate the pain scale? It just sort of feels inadequate. I do think it feels inadequate to describe the experience of living in constant severe pain. But I did understand that it was important to have, after many years with strong pain, I realized that it was important to have some kind of terminology to discuss this with my doctors. And I decided to make my own version of the pain scale that's slightly friendlier. And I use emojis in my pain scale now. And I also include fatigue to some extent, because for me, it's not just the pain anymore. It's both the pain and the fatigue. It can go up and down. It varies over time. I have good days and bad days, and good months and bad months, and good years and bad years. Okay, sorry, but I've had pain for over 25 years. And coming from being completely bedbound, completely disabled, and basically left to rot in a hospital bed, to now being a full-time working published author, mother of 2, active in my community, and now running my own business with my Pain Freedom app. Yeah, you do want to laugh when the doctor uses it. So this pain scale with the emojis, I actually link it to what I can do at each stage instead of like just putting a number on it. And I will explain this in what I call the traffic light model, because I added the factor of time, and then it becomes a graph. So you see the numbers from 0 to 10 on the side of the graph with the emojis. And the Y line here is time. Oops. Oh, yeah. It'll come in the next slide. This is the basis for the traffic light model. So look at it this way. We have the pain level, and we have the timeline, and my pain can change. So if we were live now, I'd be drawing on this. Hello, welcome, Sharon. Hi, Michelle. So this is the green zone. This is an illustration of the green zone. I put colors on this to illustrate what life is like and what I can do in each of these different zones. Because for me, depending on the severity of my pain on any given day, I can either do quite a lot of stuff or I cannot do anything at all. And as I was saying, there are good days and good stages, phases, and good and bad phases. So when I'm in the green zone, I have pain at around like 0 to 3 on the pain scale. I may feel some discomfort, but I'm basically able to do lots of stuff. I can walk, I can work, I can stand, I can even dance and be active with hobbies. That's life in the green zone. And for me, that's kind of a goal all the time. Like my goal is to do things that will lead me, like reduce my symptoms, both of the arthritis and the back pain and the chronic pain, reduce my symptoms to where I can live my life in the green zone, because life feels great there. But for many fibromyalgia patients and for many chronic pain patients, this place, the green zones, just seems like a fictional utopia. Like, what are you talking about? I don't think I've ever experienced the green zone. But then you have to dream of a time in your life where you've actually been healthy enough to do what you want, at least for a day. That's the green zone. And the yellow zone is when you have pain and discomfort, maybe significant pain at some times, like you're definitely feeling it, but you can do some things, like you can work a little, you can sit in front of your computer, maybe you can do housework or go for a walk, maybe meet some friends, like you can function in the yellow zone. But yeah, you can maybe even exercise in the yellow zone. It's possible to have a good life in the yellow zone. I'd like to say that. This is all part of the traffic light model. So when I'm in the yellow zone, I can work most days and I can do light housework. Like I have a flexible office job as a patient advocate. That's what makes it possible for me to work. I would not be able to work like with store hours or anything being on my feet. But I can maintain basic family routines, take care of my kids, and maybe even have some energy for hobbies when I'm in the yellow zone. And then there's the red zone, and I've actually divided the red zone into two, so it's more like orange and red, but all of this to me is the red zone. And it's when you have pain over 6, at least for me, it's pain over 6 on the pain scale, where, and I sort of define that as where the pain is so strong, I can't push it away. I can't distract myself. Like it's taking over my thought processes. At that point, basically I have to stop everything I'm doing. And that's why I call it the red zone, because it's the traffic light, the red traffic light, right? It's like, red, stop what you're doing. Like I am usually bedbound when I'm in the red zone. I spend a lot of time resting during winter here in Scandinavia, where it's super, super cold and my arthritis doesn't like the cold. So in the red zone, pain and just sort of surviving, taking meds, doing whatever, like there'll always be fatigue. When I have pain, I always have fatigue afterwards. Yes, Becky, I would love to explain this in a group for fibro. I will get to how I use this to help pain patients. But this is something I made myself to help me as a pain patient have an active life. So in the red zone, I'm barely existing, and just meeting basic needs for self-care and taking care of my closest family and maybe following up on medical treatment. And that takes all the energy I have. And I used to spend a lot of time in the red zone. Like before I made this system that I called Health Mastery or Hacking My Health, I used to spend a lot of time in the red zone. And then I learned that we need different tools when we're in the different zones, and I can do different things in the different zones. So when I'm in the red zone, there are still healthy choices I can make every day. There are still small things I can do that will help reduce my pain and reduce my symptoms, so that I will gradually maybe, or sometimes it's fast. When I do the right things when I'm in the red zone, I'll get to the yellow zone. And when I do the right things when I'm in the yellow zones and maybe have a little bit of luck and maybe have some medical treatment, at least for my autoimmune arthritis needs some medical treatment, I might make it to the green zone. And then what I've realized is when I keep doing the things that work, I spend less and less time in the red zone, more and more time in the yellow and green zone, where I can actually have a great life. So what is important to remember is that there is no miracle cure for chronic pain. I know we all want one, and the doctors want one too. There is no miracle cure for chronic pain, because if you have had chronic pain or pain in the same part of your body for more than 3 months, your nervous system has been changed. Like this is new in the ICD-11 that was only published, was it last year? Yeah. the new WHO manual for the diagnostic criteria lists chronic pain in a new way. This is very relevant to all of us, and is finally taking into account how the nervous system is changed when you have pain over time to increase that pain. So we have to think in a completely different way with pain that lasts over time than for pain that is acute and lasting only for a short while. And the journey with chronic pain, from living in the red zone or living in the red and yellow zone mostly, to getting to the yellow and green zone and maybe being in the green zone, you take that journey one step at a time. And I love that metaphor. It's something I learned on the Camino to Santiago de Compostela, because after being bedbound for many years and having physical therapists that taught me I should be training just to be able to, walk 100 meters, I did something crazy and bought a one-way ticket to Spain, and I started walking the Camino to Santiago, and I managed to do that. And I shared how I met a pain doctor on the way. All of this is in the book that is only in Norwegian. It's not in English, so sorry about that. But it has to be done one step at a time. That was the Camino to Santiago too. Like, how do you get to Santiago de Compostela when you can hardly walk? You walk one step at a time. You put one foot in front of the other. And so, you calm down the nervous system through multiple different modalities, as Cassandra is saying in the chat, by doing one exercise, like one nervous system exercise at a time, one healthy day at a time, like one small, whether it's taking the right supplements, like what works for you. The doctors very often, they will have a part of the picture, but they're so specialized that very few doctors manage to see the whole picture of what works in your life. You're the one who has to make this picture and find out what are the small steps I can take to reduce my pain over time, so I can climb out of the red zone and spend more and more time in the yellow zone, and hopefully also the green zone. So that's the traffic light model in short form. And when I have pain, like high pain, low energy, so fatigue and pain, I try to remind myself to prioritize activities that give me joy. Yeah, Michelle will have to learn Norwegian. I want to get it translated to English. I should totally have this published on Amazon. I think it's possible to have AI do translations now. Maybe I can do that. I don't know. It's an idea. But no matter how sick I am, and at times I am, yes, very ill and bedbound, I try to remind myself through the muttering of the pain gremlins to prioritize activities that give me joy, because that's the only way up. I have to prioritize activities that give me joy. It can't be housework that pulls me out of bed when I have 7, 8, 9, 10 pain. That's not going to pull me out of bed, and it's just going to make it worse. So, and that's how I get into this positive circle, where joy, I focus on things that bring me joy, and that gives me energy. And I use that energy to do something meaningful, like maybe spending time with friends and family, like going outside in nature, and then I really prioritize rest. Top athletes, they have rest strategies. And I think that us chronic pain patients, we're like top athletes in a way. It's just our sport is surviving chronic illness and chronic pain. But when I rest and prioritize things that give me joy and energy, I also have energy for my hobbies, and that builds my stamina. Being more active builds my stamina, which gives me more energy to invest into things that give me joy. So it becomes a positive spiral. And let's try this together now. So I'm gonna lead us through an exercise that will give you a taste of this method in practice, and then I'll show you where you can download an app that will, for free, that will give you these tools for using at home, because we have to train it. It's not done in one sitting, but I'll teach you the exercise. So we're gonna do the pain buster right now. And you don't have to read this because I'm going to explain it. You can actually close your eyes and just listen to my voice, and I'm going to explain exactly what we're going to do. So just try to sit or lay down comfortably, and you can move your body gently from side to side. Just sort of wiggle your body to connect with it, so you're not all up in your head, but you're connected to your body. And if you're feeling any pain or discomfort right now, I want you to tell your brain that the pain is not dangerous. And I'm going to give you a little mantra to tell your brain. I usually say, thank you, brain, for protecting me, but this pain is not dangerous. And when I say that, I'm allowing my brain to turn off that fire alarm that's been blaring in the background. So I repeat it again. Thank you, brain, for protecting me, but this pain is not dangerous. Repeat this in your own words. Thank you, brain, for protecting me. This pain is not dangerous. And then I want you to cross your arms across your chest like this. And you can pat your shoulders a bit. And it's like you're giving yourself a butterfly hug, and stroke your hands gently up and down your upper arms. So this is a somatic exercise, and it's helping you reconnect while it's making your left brain hemisphere and your right brain hemisphere collaborate, and it's activating a different sensory system that is actually now reducing the bandwidth to your pain signals. So keep stroking your hands on your upper arms, your shoulders, and start breathing in deeply through your nose. And we're going to breathe in deeply through our nose, counting to 4. And then we're going to hold to 4. I'm counting. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. And keep stroking. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. This is box breathing. You've probably tried it before. We're going to do it again, and next time we breathe out, we're going to hum to activate the vagus nerve, which also gives the brain a signal of safety. So this is biohacking. So breathe in while you're stroking with a butterfly hug. You're stroking your shoulders. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out and hum. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. A slightly easier version that you can do also if you're like sitting in a meeting is to stroke the skin on your underarm. So I'm using the fingers of, actually what's best is to use the fingers on your least dominant hand. So for me, that's the left hand. And I stroke the skin on my right arm, which is quite sensitive. And then I do the box breathing. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4. I hold 2, 3, 4. And breathe out, while humming. If you do this for 3 minutes, and I usually set a timer for 3 minutes and do this, it really lowers the volume of the pain. And of course, it's not taking away the reasons of the pain, but it's retraining your nervous system. So doing the pain buster every time the pain increases over like 5, 6, or basically when you feel a hike in the pain, like when it's getting stronger, stop what you're doing and do the pain buster to start retraining your nervous system to tell your brain it's not dangerous and activate other parts of your nervous system to really lower the volume of the pain. That's what this exercise does, right? That was a pain buster. And that's what we say. Thank you, brain, for protecting me, but this pain is not dangerous. And we repeat that. And I try to do that, like to keep doing these exercises in all the different zones. Like this one works in the red zone, yellow zone, and the green zone. But of course, when I'm in the green zone, every time I'm in the green zone, I think I'm cured forever. And I'm like, the doctors were wrong. My disease is cured. I'm healthy forever. And then like 2 days later, I'm crashing again. But it's wonderful when I'm in the green zone. So I've gotten a little bit, what can I say? Disappointed with the medical science and doctors. So because medical research moves so slowly, it takes 17 years from when they have a breakthrough until treatment is maybe available to the patient, and often at exorbitant costs. So instead of waiting for the doctors to use this new neuroscience that is really changing the way we understand chronic pain, and wait 17 years for them to do something about it, I decided to do something immediately to help other chronic pain patients, and I made an app. And I created the 30 Days to Pain Freedom, which is an online course delivered in an app, combining these practical exercises with science-based techniques that helps you rewire your nervous system based on where you are in the traffic light model, like which zone you're in. And this app is really simple and innovative. It's made for patients by patients, and it's science-based. It has a fun design, and you can sign up today. I think I have a link here. Yeah, I have a link. So you should be able to just like take up your phone, and if you have an Apple phone, like an iPhone, you can use the App Store, and Google Play is the one on the right. And the app is completely free. And has those basic exercises. I'm working on making a bigger version with more support that sort of leads you through the exercises. But that's going to take me a few months to get it done. And in the meantime, the whole course that's on there is free. So feel free to download that. We are in the process of recruiting a researcher. There are many researchers who want to test this and see if it works specifically on fibromyalgia patients. So I'll let you know if we manage to do that. So yeah, give it a try, download today. And if you want to stay in touch with me, sign up to my newsletter, which is here on this QR code. Dang, I really hope these QR codes work, because this is new for me to stream on StreamYard. And that was my presentation, so I'm done.